Okay, it is 5:30. Welcome to the August 1st meeting of the Committee of Adjustment. First off, the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges that it is located on Treaty 21 territory, and we are thankful to the generations of people who've taken care of this land, including the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the United Nation of Thames. So we'll go to roll call.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just say my name is Eva Baker. I'm the Acting Secretary Treasurer for the Committee of Adjustment. I'll be hosting the meeting and managing participants. Committee members joining us this evening are Member Kennis, Member Kumar, Member Bayan, Member Peltman, Member McGuire, and Member Turfstruck, who's also our Chair. Member Derbyshire is absent this evening with notice. Municipal staff in attendance this evening are Jennifer Huff, Director of Building, Planning and Bylaw, Aaron Besch, Planner with the County of Middlesex, and Melanie from the Legal and Legislative Services team. Tonight we have 6 applications to be heard by the committee. The chair will introduce each application and provide the applicant and agent an opportunity to speak to the application. The planner will follow with their report. The public will then be invited to make comments or ask questions about the application. The chair will then call upon the committee to ask questions and make comments before the chair calls for a vote on the application. Once a decision is made, there's a 20-day appeal period from the date of decision for minor variances and 20 days from the date of notice of decision for consents. If anyone wishes to be notified of the decision, you can make a written request today or following this meeting. For our virtual participants, please ensure your name is visible on your Zoom video, and we ask that you keep yourself muted until it is your turn to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eva. First off, I need an approval of the agenda. I need a motion, first off, to accept some correspondence. We've received some correspondence as information for application B8 2024. So I need a motion for that. Frank, second by Dale. All in favor? It carries. So that's the approval of the agenda. The recommendation now is also, I need a motion to accept the Committee of Adjustment agenda as amended, because we had to amend something today as well. We had an addition of new business item regarding our bylaw update. So I need a motion for that. Randy, seconded by Steve. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, then I'm going on to number 3, the declaration of pecuniary interest. Is there anyone declaring any conflict? Seeing none. Good. And then the reading and correction or approval of minutes. So you've seen the minutes here from our last meeting of July 4th. Any questions or concerns on that? And seeing none, then I need a recommendation that they are accepted as written. From Frank, seconded by Dale. All in favor? And that does carry too. Then submissions for consideration. Our first one is 5.1, 27 Metcalf Street, a refund request, and I understand Eva's going to take care of that one.
Thank you, Chair. So staff received a pre-consultation application from the landowner for proposed severance at 27 Metcalf Street, and they also paid the $400 pre-consultation fee. The application was forwarded to the planner for review, and her quick review of it determined that a key issue was identified, that the proposed severed lot was not going to be fronting on a public road, and the current policies don't support severances in that manner. So she communicated that to the applicant, and the applicant subsequently advised that he did not wish to proceed with the application, and a request for a complete refund of the pre-consultation fees were received. We wanted to note that, although policies didn't support the application, it's always up to the applicant if they wish to still proceed with the application. In this case, they didn't. Administratively, staff can only approve 70% refund of pre-consultation fees. So anything outside of that request would have to come to committee for a decision. So this evening we're seeking direction from the committee on if they wish to provide a full refund of $400 or a refund of 70%. And I will also note that minimal staff time was required to do the evaluation, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Questions from our committee, Frank?
So there's no way this thing would have ever been approved or considered. Is that a fair thing to say or not?
Through the chair to Member Kennis, I'm going to defer to Erin just because she did the evaluation on it. So
through the chair to Member Kennis, certainly the applicant was able to make an application if they wish. It was not supportable by any of our current policies. They were not aware that the property at the rear did not have frontage onto a public right-of-way. There is a rear lane there, but they did not know that it was under the ownership of the neighboring property. So certainly he could have made the application and could come forward to committee. Certainly my recommendation would be denial of the application simply because it doesn't have any policy support. But that would ultimately be committee's decision.
Okay, any further questions from committee members? Steve?
No further questions. I was just going to make a recommendation that we provide a 100% refund.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there a seconder for that? For Frank? All in favor? That carries. So we're moving on to 5.2. It's an application for consent B7 2024, 7008 Glendon Drive, County Road 14. The owners Carla Godorico, I think I've got that right, and Patrick Mearseman. I think I've got that right. Are they in the audience today? Good. Did I do all right or butcher it? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so I'll go to Eva first for her report on this one. Or Erin. Eva's over here. Erin.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, so the first application before our committee this evening is for 7008 Glendon Drive. This is a surplus farm dwelling severance in which they are looking to remove the residents from the larger farm parcel. The subject property is located on the western corner of Glendon Drive and Glen Oak Road. The lands are approximately 20 hectares in size, with frontage, of course, on both public right-of-ways. The proposed lands to be severed are approximately 0.6 hectares or 1.5 acres in size, approximately 100 meters of frontage along Glendon Drive. The lands contain a single detached dwelling which is privately serviced, a garden shed, and a barn. The applicant has advised that the septic system and well are both wholly contained on this lot, and the existing dwelling was constructed around 1870. So the proposed lands to be retained, being the remnant farm parcel, would be approximately 19.4 hectares in size. It's primarily in land and agricultural production and does contain 2 municipal drains which are regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. Director of Building and Planning recommended that a condition of approval be included requiring a drainage reapportionment if determined to be necessary. The County Safety and Standards Officer provided us with his standard comment that the retained farm piece would require a 911 address. Enbridge Gas advised that there are pipelines in this area, and if the severance impacts any of those lines, it is at the cost of the landowner to relocate. The county engineer provided that land dedication up to 18 meters from the center line of construction for Glendon Drive would be required across both the severed and retained, and that's for road widening purposes in the future. The St. Clair Region Conservation Authority advised of no concerns with the proposed application. So my analysis of this application is that the landowners qualify for this type of severance. Farm consolidation appears to have been achieved. The existing dwelling predates 1999 as required by the in-force local official plan. The surplus dwelling itself, the lot will be required to be rezoned to the A2 to limit agricultural uses, and the larger farm piece will be required to rezone to A3 to prohibit future residential uses. And I am satisfied that the farm parcel itself is of an adequate size to contain all of the services. They have the barn remaining on the property as well, and that is to be used just for storage purposes for the landowner, or the future landowner. So my recommendation this evening is approval of the application, subject to the 12 conditions outlined in my report, all of which are standard conditions, including number 6, which is our standard county land dedication requirement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Aaron. Any comments from the folks in the gallery on this one? No? Any comments from our committee members? Steve?
Just a question, maybe through the chair to Aaron. When I look at the drawing and I see that, there's the, I'm gonna assume a drain or some kind of flood area covered by the forest, and the little red portion is being severed, doesn't quite cover all the space that's not. And from a practical standpoint, I'm thinking, is that piece big enough to farm? And if it's not, why wouldn't we have increased the property lines to match the buildable lot size, so that you don't run into issues with a tiny piece of land that has to be maintained by another piece of property owner where the use is? Just looking at it from a practical standpoint, that to me, the piece of property maybe should have been a little bigger, and if there's a reason why it's not.
Through the chair to Member Pelquin, it's completely surrounded by significant woodland. So the green hatching is actually identifying the woodlot itself. And it was primarily a computer model that created those polygons. So the property is surrounded by trees. Certainly if it was the appetite of the committee, we could add a condition to expand it, but it was really intended to make the residential lot as small as possible, and reserve the trees for the larger farm piece.
If it's all trees, I'm satisfied.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? No? Then Mike?
I'll just move that we accept the application with the 12 conditions on page 7.
Okay. I'm a seconder for that one. Dale, all in favor? And that carries.
Shortly following this meeting, a notice of decision will be issued, at which point the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or prescribed public body can appeal a decision made by the committee by making application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeal has been made following the 20 days, the consent declaration will be issued.
Okay, thank you. Then moving on to 5.3, it's an application for consent B8 2024, 16 Walnut Court, Strathroy. The owners Ashley Isdale and Marshall Shrink. I don't know if I got that one right either. Is any members in the audience to put that property? Yes? Did I get your name right, or did I do a bad job?
No, that was pretty good.
Yeah? Okay, very good. Well, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, Aaron, if I can go to you for your report.
Thank you, Chair. So the next application before the committee this evening is for another consent, the purpose of which is to sever one additional residential parcel from an existing lot for the purpose of constructing one new single detached dwelling. So this application proposes to sever a lot with an area of 489.6 square meters and a lot frontage of 20.65 meters along Parkview Drive. So it's a bit of a unique situation in that the house itself fronts onto Walnut Court, but does have quite a large frontage along Parkview Drive as well. The property itself, of course, is located at the terminus of Walnut Court. The lands are approximately 1,365 square meters in size, and the property is fully regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. So the lands, of course, to be severed, as I said previously, 489.6 square meters in size. The lands contain a small garden shed and it's just largely used as amenity space for this existing house. The lands to be retained, being the property with the existing house on it, would be 876.1 square meters in size and would retain the same frontage that it has now along Walnut Court. The lands contain an existing single detached dwelling, which is on full municipal services, and a driveway onto Walnut. So in support of the application, the applicant has actually provided a plan of survey which depicts the lots to be severed and retained. I've included that attached to my report so that committee can see that this evening. The plan also shows the buildable area for the new lot based on the setbacks of the R1 zone. This lot, although of slightly unique shape and it's not as deep as we would typically see, it does meet our minimum lot area requirement of 460 square meters, and the lot frontage is in excess of the minimum that we require as well, which is 15 meters along Parkview Drive. So the lands to be retained would continue to meet the setback provisions of the bylaw, including the distance to the new proposed property line, the rear lot line in this case. And they would also still meet our lot coverage provisions. They would be approximately 17.7%, and we require a maximum of 40%. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. Manager of Environmental Services advised that each lot will require individual sanitary and water connections, which are to be wholly located on each property. So in this situation, there is services along Parkview Drive, and that would be where this new lot would connect to. Director of Building and Planning advised that the Strathroy-Caradoc strategic plan identifies growth management as one of its key goals. As well, the 2022 residential land needs study supply concluded that the municipality has a shortage of residential development over the long term. So severances for infill and intensification purposes can provide additional development opportunities in a variety of forms. As condition of consent, the lands to be severed will require the parkland dedication of $1,000. Middlesex County Safety and Standards Officer advised that the severed lot will be required to have a new 911 address, and the existing 16 Walnut Court will retain that address. Enbridge gave their comment as well about the gas line, and if it needs to be relocated because of the new proposed lot lines, those will be at the cost of the owner to relocate. The St. Clair Region Conservation Authority provided quite a lengthy written letter about the property. It is, as I mentioned before, it is fully regulated. However, they do not have a concern with the application, and I have not yet talked to the applicants about this, but they've provided, in addition to sort of their sign off on the application, they've actually said that that letter that they've supplied can actually exempt them from the requirement to get a CA building permit at the time of building. So that's a bit unique. I haven't seen them do that. But I think in this area, although it is regulated, there isn't a high flood concern. So my analysis of the application, of course, was based on our policy documents. Infill development and intensification is in keeping with the PPS Middlesex County official plan and our own official plan. The lots along Parkview Drive, Walnut Court, a little bit further south, there's quite a wide variety of lot sizes, lot widths. There's some more medium density just south of the property on Parkview Drive, and I believe is it Hemlock, which is the intersecting road. So there is quite a number of small lots in this area. As I stated previously, it does meet our zoning provisions. The applicant has demonstrated that there is buildable area on the property. You know, it may be a slightly smaller footprint than what we would see in terms of the depth of the property. However, there is, you know, in my opinion, sufficient area for a small dwelling there. With the requirements of the CA being released, there's no concern with those policies in our official plan. So with the requirement that they connect to full municipal services, my recommendation this evening is approval, subject to the 13 conditions that I have included as part of my report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Erin. Are there any comments to be made from folks in the gallery? Seeing none, I'm going to go to our committee members. Any questions or concerns for committee members? Seeing none, then I'm looking for recommendation from Frank, supported by Steve. All in favor? That carries.
Shortly following this meeting, a notice of decision will be issued, at which point the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or prescribed public body can appeal the decision made by the committee by making application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeals are made following the 20 days, the consent declaration will be issued.
Thank you, Eva. We're moving on to 5.4. It's an application for minor variance, A17-2024 at 8028 Walker's Drive. Owner is Ann Collins. Is Ann is on Zoom, I believe?
I'm here.
Excellent. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
And Erin, I'll go to you for the report on this one.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm getting organized here. So this next application before the committee this evening is requesting to permit a front yard depth of 7.3 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum setback of 20 meters in the site-specific A2-36 zone. This application would facilitate the construction of an 8.8 square meter uncovered porch on the front of an existing dwelling. Committee may be familiar with this property. It recently went through a severance, a surplus farm dwelling severance, as well as a rezoning, hence why the A2-36 zone is on this property. The single detached dwelling, the front of it that faces onto Saxton Road, it does have a front door that is elevated from the grade, and it doesn't have any stairs or any access to the door. So really the applicant's proposal this evening is to add a small porch with stairs to access that door. So I'll also want to note that the dwelling itself is already deficient in its setback. It's not the required distance that it is in the zoning bylaw. So as this is making even further of an encroachment into the front yard, we do need to recognize it through variance. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. There were no concerns received, and I did not receive any public input on this particular application as well. So the 4 tests of minor variance, my analysis was really based on the fact that the porch itself is uncovered. It will not have a roof, thereby limiting its influence on any sight lines at the intersection. There is a row of trees as well as a fence along the frontage of Saxton Road, which acts as a physical barrier to the existing dwelling, and that is to remain after the construction of the porch is complete. The applicant has directed the stairs to the side of the structure rather than extending further into the front yard. So my analysis of the 4 tests is that it does meet the 4 tests. So my recommendation this evening is approval. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Erin. Any comments, Ann? We'll go back to you. No comment.
No comments. I mean, obviously I'd like it to be approved because right now the door is floating in midair and there was once a porch there, but I don't have the evidence of the porch other than there's a door that has a 4-foot drop.
Yep, good. Any comments from committee members? Steve?
Just a question, is there, and I'm looking at the picture and I don't know how much the picture is an accurate representation of spatial wise, but it would seem to me that porch is so small that if you put 2 chairs, it may prevent someone from getting the door. Is there anything preventing them from going another 4 feet wider, like along the side of the house, that might make the porch more usable? If they didn't come any closer.
I've measured it out with a couple of chairs and a planter, and it's all good. It's got a
Okay.
fairly good size step out, so we're happy with, I'm happy with the extent of the porch itself.
Okay, that suits me. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too small.
Sure, okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Frank?
Actually, not on this, but just a question, and I probably should know the answer to this. I understand A2, but -36 in the zoning, what's that second number mean? Just for my interest.
Thank you through the chair to member Kennis. It is a site-specific zone, and it relates to a provision in the zoning, in the A2 zone, that restricts agricultural uses on this property. So when we do our surplus dwelling rezonings, we always add a site-specific number on that's why we're at number 36. And that is really just to ensure that it's going to be a residential lot, no agricultural.
So just to follow up, there are no other A2 36s out there because that represents a unique property.
Okay. Any other questions? Mike? Do you have a question?
I'll just make a comment and then I'll make the motion to accept the recommendation to be approved with the conditions. Oh, we don't have, was there not conditions on it? No? Not missing one? Was there any conditions that you were seeking? While you're looking at it, I'll just say it's an amazing historic house in Strathroy with quite a history to it. I was taken through it 20 years ago.
Yeah, my family's been here since the 1840s, and that house was built in 1875, so I'm the 6th generation here.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. Any other comments?
So did you want no conditions on it, just an approval? I'll make the motion to approve them.
Okay. Supported by Steve. All in favor? That carries.
From today, the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or prescribed public body can appeal a decision made by the committee by making application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeal has been made following 20 days, the minor variance declaration will be issued.
Okay, then moving on to 5.5 is an application for minor variance A18-2024 at 8120 Irish Drive. And the owner is Danny Mathis. Anyone in the audience for this one? Yes? And you're Danny?
Pardon?
And you are Danny?
Yeah, I'm Dan.
Excellent, welcome. And Aaron, if I can go back to you for your report on this one.
Thank you, Chair. So the next application before the committee this evening is for, again, 8120 Irish Drive. The applicant is seeking relief from the zoning bylaw to permit a rear yard depth of 1.8 meters, whereas a minimum of 10 meters is required in the A2-34 zone. I will note that that is also a site-specific surplus dwelling zone. The application would facilitate the construction of a 151.6 square meter shed on the foundation of a previous barn in the rear yard of the subject lands. So this property is on the north side of Irish Drive, just west of Christina Road. Again, recently created through a surplus farm dwelling severance, so committee may recall this property. The applicant has recently removed or partially removed a barn that was at the rear of the property. He is looking to reconstruct another agricultural building. However, the structure itself was previously a legal non-conforming structure, but once dismantled, if it's removed by act of nature, You are able to rebuild the same structure. You're also able to renovate a legal non-conforming structure. However, when you purposely remove, you are now subject to the bylaws that are in place currently. So that is why we are requesting a rear yard setback in this case. The building department has qualified it as an agricultural building, which is again subject to the 10 meters at the rear. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any comments or concerns from our internal departments or from any public members as well. My analysis of the 4 tests was primarily based on the fact that it is replacing an existing or a previously existing structure. So it's not an unfamiliar building in that area. The lands to the north, where the abutting property line is inland and agricultural production. It is not capable of having a house at this location because of the rezoning to remove that or to restrict that. So there's going to be no residences in proximity to this structure. So my analysis is that it does meet the 4 tests. And so my recommendation this evening is approval, subject to our condition that stormwater be dealt with on site without negative effects on adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Erin. Mr. Mathis, any comments on that?
Basically, it's gonna be the same height as the old building, just a little bit bigger.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, concerns from our committee members? Yes, Mike?
Thank you. I guess I haven't been using the mic so far tonight. I should try using it for once. Through you, Chair, to the applicant, what is the purpose of the building? It's been deemed agricultural.
Just storage.
Just
So
storage.
may I ask what,
Tractors, lawnmowers, a little excavator. I'm gonna put my car in there, like, I got a little convertible.
generalized storage? Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. I don't wanna get rid of it.
I wouldn't blame you for not wanting to get rid of it. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments
I
from?
wanna put a little shop in there, like, you know.
Okay. Yes. Erin?
Sorry, just an additional comment to that, to member McGuire. The property exceeds the 1 hectare in size, so he's no longer subject to the 80% that we usually see for these types of surplus farm building severances. So that is why he is able to build the structure, the agricultural structure to this size. But it's really just a replacement of what he had, just a little bit bigger.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, further questions, Frank?
I'll just make the motion for approval.
Okay, second. Mike, all in favor? And that carries.
From today, the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or prescribed public body can appeal the decision made by the committee by making application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeal has been made following 20 days, the minor variance declaration will be issued.
Okay, and we are moving on to 5.6, which is an application for minor variance, A19-2024 at 22703 Adelaide Road, County Road 81 in Mount Bridges. Owners Mike Kennedy and Emil, agent is Emil Patton. Are they in the audience tonight? Emil. Okay, and Erin, if I go to you for your report.
Thank you, Chair. So the next application before the committee this evening is seeking relief from our zoning bylaw to remove the requirement for a site visibility triangle, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a 15-meter site visibility triangle at all intersections that contain a county road. So this property is located on the south side of Adelaide Road, just north of Woods Edge Road in Mount Bridges. So this is actually the entrance into a private condo development. However, our zoning bylaw does not specify in the site visibility triangle provision, does not specify private road, public road, and that sort of thing. So we we are unfortunately subject to the visibility triangle at this corner. So this is one particular lot that fronts onto Adelaide Road. It's about 466 square meters in size, and it is currently vacant. So the applicant wishes to construct a single detached dwelling, but as you can imagine, based on the location map, that 15-meter triangle, it's basically created 15 meters down each property line and then connected with a line. It's pretty limiting on that property. So the applicant has originally requested a reduction of the 15 meters to 10 meters. So if you notice in my report, there is a attached plan that does show a 10-meter proposed. However, upon having conversations with the County of Middlesex, because of course it's the intersecting county road, the county engineer advised that they don't require site visibility triangles at locations such as this. When they went through the condominium process, as you might be able to tell, but they actually took a road widening at this particular location. So that actually includes enough land to capture sight lines in that area. So they don't actually require this particular triangle. So we amended the application to actually request to remove the triangle itself. The application was circulated. I did not receive any comments or concerns. Again, the county engineer advised that the county does not ask for daylight triangles. The land dedication that widens out the right-of-way is sufficient for site distances. So my analysis of the foretest really hinged on the fact that this location does not have sightline concerns. It does sterilize really a large portion of this property, as no structures could be located within this triangle. So the house that would be built would be quite a unique shape, quite awkward. So with the removal of the triangle, the property is still subject to the regular setback provisions. So of course the house is not going to be built right at the property lines itself. It is going to be set back the 5 meters. So there will still be site around the house at that intersection. So my recommendation this evening is approval with no conditions. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Erin. Emil, do you have any comments to add to that?
Well, basically through the subdivision, when we did it, it was addressed with the road widening, but due to the fact this is an old bylaw, maybe you guys should look at your old bylaws and maybe make some amendments or something, because it's already been dealt with. Yeah. That's all.
Okay, thanks for the comment. Any comments from our committee members? Seeing none, then I'm looking for
Motion to approve.
motion to approve.
2 questions.
Oh, Steve does have 2 questions.
Yep.
Go back to Steve's question.
So just for my own clarity, so there's no requirement then for unique shape building, you would be able to build a standard house, and the lot is deep enough that the house would still follow the building lines of the condo unit, so it's not, so the corner house isn't sticking out.
Right, exactly.
Yep, perfect.
So you're good with that? Okay. So then back to Mike, who's made a motion to recommend approval. Steve
Second.
supports it. All in favor? And that carries.
From today, the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or prescribed public body can appeal the decision made by the committee by making application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeals are made following 20 days, the binding variance declaration will be issued.
Okay, thank you. And then 5.7 is an application for minor variance A 2020-24, 64 Scott Street West in Strathroy. And the owner is Jeffrey Custermans and agent Tony Custermans. And they're in the audience as well tonight. Okay, Erin, if I can go to you for your report.
Thank you, Chair. So the last application this evening is for, again, 64 Scott Street West in Strathroy. The purpose of this application is to permit a rear yard depth of 3.4 meters, whereas a minimum of 8 meters is required for lots on full municipal services in the R1 zone. The application will facilitate the construction of a 15.6 square meter addition onto an existing single detached dwelling. So this property is located on the southwest corner of Scott Street West and Princess Street in Strathroy. It's approximately 471.8 square meters in size, with frontage, the frontage along Scott Street being slightly less than the frontage on Princess, thereby making it the front yard. That would make the opposite lot line, which is this lot line here, this is considered the rear yard. So the applicant's house has a little bit of a porch addition onto it currently. They're looking to remove this and replace with just a slightly larger addition on the house. However, they do need a setback reduction at this particular location, and their request is for 3.4 meters, whereas 8 meters is required. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any comments or concerns on this particular property. In addition, no public comments as well. So my 4-test analysis was primarily based on the fact that if you look at this site, if you do a site visit, the interior side yard is primarily their amenity space. The rear yard a bit as well, but the addition will not be removing a large chunk of area that would impede their ability to have amenity space on the property. There's plenty of space between the opposite lot line and the addition itself. They're actually proposing a patio at the location as well. However, it will be under the height that is required to meet any sort of setback. So it's considered landscaping at that point, and they can build their patio there as well. So on the opposite side of the fence, there's a fence that divides the two properties, which will provide a spatial buffer between the two uses. So my recommendation, based on those 4 tests, my recommendation this evening is approval. Thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you, Erin. Do the customers have anything to add to that? No? No comments?
No.
Any comments from our committee? Questions, concerns? Mike?
I'm sorry. The 3.4 meter setback, I don't have a problem with it, 11 feet, but I sometimes wonder when we get so specific and then they build, and if things move, because sometimes they do, are they back here asking for another minor variance because all of a sudden they're at 10.5 feet or, so does this facilitate for that, or should we facilitate for it now? Thank you.
So they actually asked for more than that, but so we did 11 feet so to give them some flexibility for that. More in terms of less of a decrease, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
So we did allow for some change there.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, so Mike makes a motion. I need a seconder. Steve again. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you.
From today, the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or a prescribed public body can appeal a decision made by the committee by making an application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeals are made following 20 days, the minor variance declaration will be issued.
Okay, now we're on to new business, and there's a zoning bylaw update project, Jen.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to provide the committee with a brief update on where we are for this particular project. You may recall that we've mentioned it in the past that we're about to embark on it. So we're in the consultation process with the public. We have reached out, I think, to committee members, or will be doing that shortly, with a survey that we would appreciate if you were able to participate in, provide your comments, given your experience on the committee and the zoning bylaws. It would be kind of a unique perspective to get information and feedback from a committee who deals with the zoning bylaw on a regular basis. So comments such as the one tonight about whether or not the applicability of striped triangle is really appropriate for county roads, as an example. So please, if you can, take the time to do the survey. It is actually quite simple, but there's lots of room for comment to expand on your feedback. So it is expected that as we go through the consultation process, there'll be more opportunities to participate, but this is the one that's really front and center right now. And so we anticipate that some of those other consultation opportunities will come forward in the fall time. So, and I'll provide further information at that point for the committee.
And will this survey be emailed out to us?
It will be, yes.
Good, okay, thank you.
We already got it.
There you go. You're way on top of it, that's great. I'm retired, I don't read email. Okay, inquiries by members. Being done. Schedule of meetings, as you see there, our next one is September the 5th. Okay, any other comments? Then I need a recommendation for adjournment from Frank, and Randeep supports it. All in favor? And we're adjourned.